Today's guest got bitten by the creative bug whilst working in her career in retail at John Lewis. She decided to pursue her dream of becoming an interior designer and crafted a design service to pandemic-proof her business. Let's find out how she got on. Welcome to the Hubcast, brought to you by the Interior Designers Hub, where we help and support interior designers to get trained, get into the industry, and to grow wildly successful businesses. If you want to work in the field you love, create the lifestyle you desire, and make the money you truly deserve, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Kate Hatherall. Let's get into it. Today on the Hubcast, we're talking to Lauren May from Lauren May Interiors. Hi, Lauren, how are you?
Hi, Kate. I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. Thanks very much for being here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, where you're located. What sort of design do you do?
Okay, so I have been running Lauren May Interiors for the last, nearly 2 years now. It'll be my second business birthday on the 1st of December. The last 2 years have been good. Thank you. So I live in Kenilworth, in Warwickshire. But I also, as well as covering Warwickshire and the Midlands, one of my services that I offer is a digital design. So that means that I'm able to help people that aren't necessarily local to me, which is great. And I've helped people all over the UK, really, some as far south as Portsmouth that obviously I wouldn't normally get to necessarily work with because they're not geographically local to me. So I offer my clients, kind of generally speaking, 3 different services. I do a digital service, which is purely online. My middle service is based around that kind of whole process, really, but includes a home visit with that. And then my final service that I offer to some people is all of what I've already done for those clients before. So the inspiration boards, the furniture sourcing, the wallpaper and paint, anything that they're looking for their room. But then I add the styling on at the end. So some clients are really happy to get stuck in and do the styling themselves. It was just the stumbling blocks before that they were struggling with. But other clients really want the kind of the help, the end styling to really finish off the project completely. So if that's not what they're looking for, then Amazing. I will do a bespoke quote for them as well, if it's not, if they want to mix and match between any of those services.
Brilliant. And that kind of combination of in-person stuff and e-design really does give you a lot of flexibility, doesn't it, to reach a wider audience, really?
It does, yes. Hopefully that was my plan, to be able to, like you say, reach people who aren't necessarily local to me, when a lot of the what I was offering could be done digitally. But also, so I know you'll probably come on to this, but my business started during the pandemic, and I was really, I had in my mind to try and make hopefully COVID or something like that won't happen again. But if there was ever to be something like that to happen again, where we couldn't do face to face, I really wanted to try and future proof my business so that I could carry on if something like that happened again. So that was a little bit as well behind the history of that particular service.
I love that. So thinking then about before that, I'm guessing that there was something that you did beforehand, a previous career. So what were you doing before you made that transition into interior design?
Yeah, so my background completely for the last 15 plus, probably 18 years has all been retail based. So I started with companies like Marks and Spencer's, Hobbs, women's wear, kind of shop floor work. And then the kind of turning point for me was being accepted onto the John Lewis manager internal training program that I did. So I worked there for 5 years at John Lewis, at one of their stores, on numerous departments. And I kind of, that nurtured, I think, my love of the kind of visual merchandising side of things. I really had that creative bug of making displays look amazing. Even though we had an in-house visual merchandising team, there was still a lot of potential and opportunities for me to still do that within the departments that I worked on. And then after that, I was there, for John Lewis for 5 years, and then moved to the National Trust, where I was a retail manager for them. Again, got heavily involved in the visual merchandising side of things. And then latterly, I was a consultant, a retail consultant for the National Trust, covering properties in the West Midlands. And unfortunately, I was one of the casualties of the pandemic and was made redundant just before I then started my interiors business as well.
That's such an interesting journey. And I imagine that a lot of the experience that you got in your previous roles, you've been able to use in what you do now.
Yes, definitely. I think whether I realised it or not, I think all of the departments actually that I worked on at John Lewis were all home departments. I didn't ever work on a fashion department. And so I wonder whether subconsciously I didn't really realise it at the time, but I was just attracted to home and homeware and that kind of thing. So I think that those jobs that I was doing, but then also buying my first home with my then boyfriend, now husband, in kind of 2008-9, that kind of time, just really opened up my creativity in being able to, make our first house a home and feel, all of the things that you want your clients to feel about a home. So it was those two kind of running side by side of each other, really, that really I think got me into interior design and to homes, definitely.
Absolutely. And so that, situation where you were in the lockdown, you'd been made redundant and you were sort of looking to what to do next. Did you really at that point think, now I want to pursue interior design? Or was it a case of, you thought, I'll give this a go and see how it goes, or I'm going to be looking for something in retail, but this came along? How did you kind of make the decision that this was the direction that you were going to go in?
I think I'd always thought that I would start a business, and I was fairly sure that it would be interior design based, but I think before that point, I wasn't 100% sure on that. I think I'd always had very lovely and well-meaning friends who would come round to our house and say how amazing our house looked, and that I obviously had a natural flair for it, and that I should do it as a career and charge people because, they would always ask for help and advice with their homes as well, which obviously before that point I would gladly do for free. So I think I'd always thought that when my children were at school, when I was working for the National Trust, I was working 3 days. So I thought that then I would have some time to maybe start experimenting and researching with setting up my own business after that point. So I think I always thought I would get there. I just didn't expect it to come quite so quickly. Obviously, the pandemic and being made redundant fast forwarded that for me. So yeah, it was definitely, I found it a really hard time actually after being made redundant. I think my confidence took a real dip and just a bit of soul searching and trying to figure out what next really for the next however many years, of my job history. But, that was a time I had then the time to start building the business, start building my social media platforms, my website, which I did myself from scratch because I had the time to teach myself how to do it. And then also start with some friends and family, some clients to then start to test things out and build up a portfolio to then hopefully share with future kind of fee paying clients as well.
Amazing. And did you make a decision at that point that you felt that you wanted to get some education, get yourself qualified, or did you feel that you know, as many successful designers do, that you had that creative flair, the experience of your previous job, and that you were just going to go for it and give it a go with the business?
Yeah, I definitely. I hoped that the creative background was enough that I could try and demonstrate that to potential clients, but I definitely wanted to have some kind of formal educational training behind me, which is when I came across the interior design diploma. So I studied for and completed that, and I just wanted something to be able to say, I have actually, put some time and some effort into learning about the fundamentals of interior design, rather than, for me, I just felt that I would feel more confident if I had that to be able to say to people, rather than just saying, it's just the experience of my own home that I've got, as well as that kind of retail background. So I did do some training as well.
Makes perfect sense. And I think, you know, sometimes it gives the client, you know, or it gives you that feeling of credibility, which gives you, more confidence to go out and speak with clients as well. So looking at that sort of transition from what you used to do to what you do now, were there any kind of fears or worries that held you back or stopped you from, you know, kind of going for it, or anything that sort of bothered you or worried you about making that transition?
I think it's natural to have worries in terms of, will anybody contact me? Does anybody want my help? You know, when it's then you're asking for people to pay for it. I think definitely when it's something that you love, I think one of your other guests mentioned it as well, you kind of feel a bit bad charging for it because you enjoy it and because you feel like it comes naturally to you. But also, just that imposter syndrome, is it the right thing to do? Will people think that I'm doing a good enough service when they're paying for it? So I think all of those natural thoughts, thankfully not anything enough to completely put me off doing it. And just I hoped with the more clients I did have then, and the more projects I could share with people that I had worked on, that then I'd get more confidence with that as well.
Absolutely. And do you wish that you had started this journey earlier, or do you feel that it was just right time, right place for you?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure I could have started it earlier. I think with the point in my life beforehand, with having two small children, and I'm just not sure I would have had the headspace or the capacity to even think about it earlier than I did. And as I said to you earlier, that I'd kind of got in my mind that I might think to start about it in the next, even 2 years ago, that it would be then another maybe year before I'd feel like I'd have the headspace to really put some time and energy and effort into it. So no, I don't think so. I do wonder if I'd, done an interior design degree straight out of university, whether that would have changed things, but who knows? But I'm glad of the retail experience that I've got and I've had, and that has helped me. So no, I don't think I would have started earlier than I did. No.
Absolutely. And I hear that from a lot of people as well, that although, they're very happy doing what they're doing and delighted that they've made the move, that actually a lot of life experience that you gather beforehand, really valuable to what you're doing now, and that people wouldn't be without that experience.
Definitely. And I wonder whether it was accessible maybe 15 years ago, whether, unless you'd done an interior design degree, would the opportunities have been the same as they are now? I do feel like there's a lot more support and training out there now for that kind of profession that's helped me, has been perfect timing for me now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Lauren, thank you so much for coming and sharing your journey with us today. Before we end the session, would you be willing to play a game of Designer This or That?
Yes, of course.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to set the timer on the clock and we will dive in. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's go. Suede or nubuck?
Oh, nubuck.
Smooth or textured?
Textured.
Tiles or wood?
Tiles.
Wallpaper or panelling?
Oh, wallpaper.
New or upcycled?
New.
Leather or vegan?
Oh, leather, probably. Sorry.
Coffee table or footstool?
Footstool.
Faux plants or real plants?
Oh, always real plants, but if I can't keep them alive, then faux.
Rug or carpet?
Rug.
Linen or velvet?
Velvet.
Amazing. And we are out of time. Thank you very much for playing Designer This or That.
No problem. Thank you.
Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you giving up your time. How can people get in touch with you if they're in your local area and they're looking for an interior designer?
So my my social media handle is just at Lauren May Interiors. You'll find me on Facebook and Instagram. And my website is just www.laurenmayinteriors.com.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, thank you once again for being on the Hubcast today. We really appreciate it.
No problem, Kate. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning into Hubcast by the Interior Designers Hub. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please take a screenshot and share it to Facebook, Instagram, or your favourite social media channel. Make sure to tag me in at Interior Designers Hub and let me know what you enjoyed about this episode. I reply to each and every comment. I'd also like to offer you an incredible free gift, which is going to show you the exact roadmap that you need to take to become a wildly successful interior designer. It shares our secrets to business success. If you'd like to get your hands on that, head on over to interiordesignershub.co.uk/roadmap right now. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.